Yes, we are now live. We are live on Set on Deck. I am your host, Charles Becco, and joining with me on the stage right now is Ken Blanks Harrel from the Pre-Market Movers. We are live via Facebook, via YouTube, Twitch, and Clubhouse. The only show that is multi-streamed, and we got some YouTube viewers viewing right now. I'd like to thank everybody for being here today. I am your host, Charles Becco, and joined with me on the stage is Ken Blanks Harrel. And today we're going to be talking about, is marijuana stocks to play in 2022? Let's talk about it. Got my man Ken here. Ken, introduce yourself to the crowd.
Yes. Great evening, everybody. Ken Blanks Harrel. I am the one of the co-founders of the Pre-Market Movers community, as well as the founder of the Bullish Institute of Financial Literacy, headquartered in Detroit, Michigan. All about education, enlightenment, and empowerment. Let's get it.
All right. So Ken, as of late here, we've been having a lot of news about marijuana. So before we get started, right, what I'm going to do here is going to be a little bit of a format than what you are personally used to. Since we are streaming on YouTube, okay, I'm going to copy the YouTube link here, okay, and I'm going to post the YouTube link in the channel so that everyone else can see. All right. Give me 1 second while I get that together. All right. I see Miss Kathy Gray down there. What's up, Kathy? Boom. Okay. Give me 1 second here while I get up my apps and everything. Let me just make sure that everybody can see us. All right. And get the links up. Okay. 1 second. Let me just now here, let me get the links from the links here from YouTube, and let me post it onto Clubhouse. All right. I see folks joining us here today. Man, Ken, it's been so long. I'm here trying to figure out now, where do I put these links in? Here's the pinned link. Okay, there it is. Boom. Okay, team. Again, just to reiterate, right? We are streaming live on Clubhouse, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So if you are on Clubhouse, all you have to do is go to the link at the top of this description, okay? At the top of the description above, and click the link, our marijuana stocks to play, and you will be able to follow us live on the charts for your enjoyment, okay? On the stage with me, I got Ken Blanks Harrel. Of course, I'm the technical guy. Ken is a fundamental guy, and we're going to mix it up right here. Okay, so we're going to start off on YouTube here. Here we go. Okay, boom. All right, so Ken, before we kind of get to the whole marijuana spiel, let's just talk about the stock market in general, right? I mean, it's just been kind of ugly out there. Okay, so I just want to just break it down here. What's going on with the Qs, right? What's going on is that we, I believe, touched a yearly low today at 266, right? And so it's not really looking good. We'll probably head on to the next support level down there at 250. But maybe before we get there, okay, maybe we could expect a bounce. I did have it outlined on the chart that we are pretty close to the weekly 200 here. Okay, so let me just pull up the weekly chart. Okay, I don't have the 200 on this chart, but I do trust the outline that I put here before, that the weekly 200 is in fact right there, right? And so we could expect a pretty significant bounce off of that weekly 200, right? Things just don't go all the way down. They do tend to, bounce off of support levels. And we've had two monstrous rallies this year already, right? And so let's see if we could possibly get another one. I'm going to try to see if I could actually just pull up a different chart here with the weekly that we could kind of take a look at. Give me 1 second while I kind of pull that up. Ken, any thoughts on the market at all from your perspective? Any thoughts, Ken, about the market from your perspective?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that all the financial mathematics that the government was playing through the pandemic is coming back to bite us in the tail. You can't just give away free checks and tell people, here, take a check and don't go to work. That's only going to last so long. And so I think right now the jig is up. And so we see the repercussions from that type of monetary policy. And that's just coming back to haunt us now. And you got the perfect storm of catalysts out there between the Fed increasing interest rates, just inflation, the cost of things, gas, groceries, the price of living life is going up, and then you have the international stage with the Ukrainian invasion, the growing tension between China and Taiwan. It's just a lot of moving pieces out there that all have an impact, directly or indirectly, an adverse impact on the U.S. economy and in turn the stock market. Because the U.S. economy is, the stock market is a major component of that. And if people have less disposable income, then that's going to immediately knock out all those retail investors that popped up during the pandemic. You had a lot of new money coming into the markets and extra liquidity. And when markets are liquid, stocks move faster. It's quicker to achieve growth. But in times where people have to penny pinch and people decided they were going to buy a home 3 months ago, 6 months, 3 to 6 months, they've now decided to just sit on their hands, right? A lot of folks with the raising rates and prices of things are sitting on their hands making major purchases. People are even sitting on their hands with investing in stocks because a lot of people aren't educated and professionally trained investors or traders. And so out of that fear, they don't know what to do. When you look at the market, see, this isn't the same euphoria as we had 2 years ago, when you could put anything in the market, $1 and it turned into $1.50, just like that. Like people, are seeing now that the market don't really work like that. And so I think that's turned away a lot of the speculation out there. Now you got a bunch of people trying to call bottoms who've been, maybe been actively trading in the market for a year or two. People trying to call bottoms. It's like the wild, wild west out there right now. I think that now's the time where you need to really buckle down and look at fundamentally solid companies that have a real business model and have real customers, real sales, and real earnings. And look at those opportunities for rebound plays. But I think that high speculation and a lot of those high-tech, high-growth stories, those names are now becoming names. A lot of them are becoming names of the past, right? You can even look at Kathy Woods, right? In 2020, she was revered as the best stock picker of the year. Her portfolio was up 80% back then. Now, year to date, her ARKK fund is down 60% year to date. She doesn't look quite like the genius as she once was because she pumped a lot of money into unprofitable business models and a lot of speculation. And those names, those popular names, have compromised a lot of people's portfolios. So I'm a fan of looking at fundamentally sound companies these days and growing from there, not speculating.
Man, Ken, thank you so much for that contribution. Ken, I almost forgot how much of an asset and as a resource it is to have you on stage, man. So, Ken, we are so very, very much grateful to have you here, man. Ken, it's a beauty to have you here again. And so I'm going to do just a quick little reset here for people who have just joined the room, for those online. Again, I am your host, Charles Becco, and I am joined on the stage by the one and only Ken Blanks Harrel, everybody, from the Bullish Institute. And together we are be talking about the marijuana stocks and are they to play in 2022? That's what we're here to talk about. We're going to talk about that next. Then we're going to have a question and answer. Anything, if you guys have questions and tickers that you guys want us to look at, we'll have that at the end of the show. But now, let's get right to it, right? Okay. So I want to kind of pull up our article here Okay, just to kind of kickstart the conversation. Hopefully it'll play here. Okay, so pretty much, okay, for everybody who did not know, President, and I'm reading straight from this NPR article here that was written actually today by Elena Weiss from NPR. Thank you, Elena, for this contribution. President Biden announced this month an executive order to pardon federal, simple marijuana possession charges for thousands of Americans. An important first step, advocates say, to reversing decades of uneven drug enforcement policy that has historically burdened the black community. Fantastic, okay? Great headline. A lot of us, and to be honest and to be clear, right, we are speculating, okay? We are speculating that eventually this will kind of open the road to federal marijuana decriminalization and hopefully federal marijuana legalization here in the United States, right? But we do see the wave, right? We do see the green wave. We do see state after state, legislature after legislature, not only decriminalizing marijuana, but legalizing it for recreational use. And many of the trade ideas and things that we're going to be talking about today are going to be based on that you can say event or possible occurrence that may or may not happen. Okay. So let me just kind of wrap up this previous point here. I was able to pull up the weekly chart on the NASDAQ. Now, unfortunately, we are well under the weekly 200 here on the NASDAQ here. It doesn't look pretty good because we have an inverted hammer here that closed on the weekly 200, but I believe that we could possibly get back over it. We do have a very shallow MACD cross to the downside on a weekly time frame, but we are sitting here on top of the second ATR, right? So a lot of bad, but maybe some lights of hope. I am expecting that we will get some kind of a bounce in that time frame. Okay, so I want to talk to you guys about the first marijuana company, right? And that is TLRY. Okay, why TLRY? Well, just like GameStop and AMC is to meme stocks, right? TLRY is to weed stocks. Like TLRY is the poster boy for weed and marijuana companies, right? And so, make no mistake, team. This company, and for full disclosure, I am long TLRY and have been for some time now, is burning a hole through my portfolio, right? It's just like, it's like what the kids say, Ken, step out of lava, keep away from lava, right? This is lava, right? It's just eating some dollars, right? The one-time darling of the marijuana industry of the first green rush, right? That saw a market price upwards to $300 and had a similar pump from, let's say, $7 to $73 in 2021 is now sitting at the comfortable price at $3.07 this year, October the 10th, 2022. Now, we'll say here, okay, it does appear to me that TLRY has found a possible bottom. Why do I say that? Well, it's been going straight down, and now it's going sideways. It's that simple, team. It's market phases, right? For people who don't know, you have a market phase that's called consolidation, right? Then you have markup, right? You have distribution, then markdown, right? And we've been in a markdown phase pretty much since early 2021, pretty much till June of this year, and so from a technical point of view, it does appear that this chart is flattening out and that it may have potentially follow the bottom. Okay, Ken, any thoughts on TLRY at all?
I think that it's highly speculative. It's easy to want to. I can see a lot of folks who are did not risk adverse, seeing seeing the potential in it. I remember when the marijuana stocks first, well, maybe the second wave, but it was like a wave before the main wave when they were highly speculative and mostly only penny stocks. It's kind of odd to see the second wave of more reputable marijuana companies coming back to being penny stocks, because most of them are $2-3 a share. If you look at a 5-year chart, TLRY has a 5-year high of $300 a share, and now it's $3 a share. So I don't know how much it ain't about. If they $3 right now, they either going out of business, right, or it's potentially some opportunity to rebound. But I think that the fundamental analysis would lead us there. If I'm not mistaken, TLRY was one of the market leaders, industry leaders back in that day. They have 1,700 full-time employees, and they've been around for quite some time. I know that they're one of the top Canadian brands. I don't really know how the United States voting for decriminalization or legalization impacts a Canadian company per se. So I would have to do more research and due diligence on TLRY to figure out what is their long-term growth strategy, right? Is it enough? Is a market big enough in Canada alone to sustain the company and help it to thrive and flourish, or does it need the United States market in order to be successful? Does it need other countries globally to be successful? And is their main product limited to just selling flour, or are there other things that are noteworthy about it? I do know that TLRY is getting their hand into the hemp-based foods and hemp-based beverages as well. I don't know how successful they've been because this isn't a company that I follow that much. Because I gotta admit, when it fell from 300 down to like you name it, $10, $20, I mean, I ran away. I wasn't really coming into at any individual names. In fact, my perspective is the safest way potentially of playing marijuana is to potentially look at some of the marijuana-based ETFs, because that way you can just bet on the industry and say, hey, I think that marijuana itself is going to rebound. But then you're not caught up in trying to pick the best individual name, whether that be a TLRY or Canopy Growth or Kronos or Aurora or any other usual suspects. So that's kind of my angle.
Okay. You mentioned a weed ETF. Do you have one off the top of your head? Because I do see one here. If you don't have one off the top of your head, Ken?
Oh, yeah. I got several off the top of my head. I got the Cambria Cannabis ETF, which ticker is TOKE, TOKE. You have Advisor Shares Pure U.S. Cannabis ETF. MSOS is their ticker. You also have the Advisor Shares Pure Cannabis ETF, which is YOLO, YOLO. I'll give you a few more here, too. You got ETF MG, Alternative Harvest, which is MJ, for Mary Jane. You got Amplify Seymour Cannabis ETF, which is CNBS. And then you have the Cannabis ETF, which is THCX. And then last but not least, you have the Global X Cannabis ETF, which is POTX, POTX. So that's a handful of them to get you going.
Thank you so much, Ken. And so, team, while Ken was going through those names, I was looking at them and doing like a baby technical analysis, and I'd like to say something here. On the weekly time frame, with the exception of POTX, all of those ETFs are in a weekly buy setup, right? And so if you have your chart set up, okay, where you have the weekly 8 and the weekly 21, usually when you get a buy setup on a weekly time frame, especially for something that's been depressed for so long, you could expect at least some kind of a bounce, whether it's a dead cat bounce or not, to the weekly 21. And so, Ken, I'd like to thank you so very much for that contribution. And so, let me just go through some of the names here. Actually, before we get to the names, I do want to just say something about the marijuana industry in general, right? So globally, right, it's expected that the marijuana market will hit $57 billion in a decade, according to ArcView Research. And this will be, of course, entirely driven by legalization of recreational marijuana and medical cannabis. And they do anticipate increasing demand as the stigma of marijuana use amongst older individuals, you could say, kind of dissipates, right? Okay, I do see somebody. Ken, I'm so old when it comes to Clubhouse. I do see a hand up. Okay, so I did invite the person to the stage. Not too sure what they want to say, but we're more than happy to have some questions here.
The one and only Miss Elaine, co-founder of Stockhouse University, Becco.
Oh shoot, I didn't even recognize. How you doing, Elaine? It's been so long.
Yo, hey Charles, hey Ken. I don't want to step on anything, but I love this sector. I love this room. So maybe at the end I could add a couple things. I think you guys are dope. You got this.
Hey, Elaine, just go for it. Just go for it. Elaine, you got a lot to say. Hey, and again, pardon me, it's been, just some background, Elaine. I have not been on Clubhouse myself a ton, anymore. And so this is my attempt to, get back in the groove of things. And so I did not recognize you there. Again, thank you so much for having us. Ladies and gentlemen, Elaine, co-founder of Stockhouse U. I do believe do you have a show on Benzinga right now or something like that, Elaine? If I'm not mistaken?
No, we ended that
okay.
A couple months ago, actually.
Okay. Well, Elaine, the floor is yours. What do you have to say about the space here? Go ahead.
So my mentor is a financial planner. So even though I'm kind of a degen stock person, the person that I get the most input from is somebody who does very, very, very long-term planning, and it's been cool because it helps my thought process on my short-term moves. And so something we talk about a lot is suitability. I think everyone can see that there's this huge opportunity in medical marijuana or recreational marijuana as we see steps towards the legalization, and I'm really excited for that. And the suitability part of me wants to say that as much of an opportunity as it is, when the entire market is having record negative down days and stuff like that, and we have all these kind of global issues, there is the potential to have this extended period of ranging prices for companies that we're not sure about their growth prospects. Why would I not be sure about the growth prospects for marijuana when you clearly stated that the total addressable market, oh my god. So I had numbers, but it's basically they're looking at least on the US or the North American peninsula, that we can basically double our total addressable market to around 9 billion. And that's amazing, right? That represents a ton of growth for companies, and as you know, they're on a 97% discount. Here are some interesting things about why maybe we might not see the profitability that we're expecting from medical marijuana companies. There are a number of things that medical marijuana companies need to grow weed. Right? And if they're not growing it, they're sourcing it. And if they're sourcing it, they're paying gas prices. And if they're growing it, whoever's growing it is using fertilizer, maybe some sort of light setup, maybe some sort of venting system, with a fan. And I don't know, whatever, some semiconductors in terms of like planning out the way that the water is. I used to live in California, and so I've seen some pretty dope grow ops, and there's amazing stuff going on. However, there's a reliance on some base materials, and the trend that we're seeing is, number one, when the entire market's dropping, I don't know, 60 basis points or something like that. We went from 380 to 360, 390 to 360 on SPY in about 2 weeks. We saw natural gas drop from what you think, $86 to $83. It ranged under 80. It hit like 79 for a second, and here we are back at 86. So a significantly less move in correlation to the overall market. Natural gas fell a lot farther, but maybe there are demand issues in why we didn't see that jump in natural gas. There was like a heat wave all around, right? So natural gas, the prices have also almost doubled in the past 6 months. So there are a number of types of fertilizer, but the main one uses nitrogen and ammonia. And the way that you get ammonia is through natural gas, apparently. Like, it's one of the main ways that they're making this stuff. And the truth is, the input prices on that have completely changed. And so my one thing to say would be the suitability side, and just keeping in mind that we may have to sit on this for a while. While the commodities run, the stagflationary thing, the continued pressure on oil, and I think that there's a four-way quadrant between oil, natural gas, alternative energy, and coal that's going on right now, where when one becomes too expensive, they just switch to the next one. We're seeing record amounts of coal being bought in both China and India because that's what they can afford right now. So I think that dynamic is really interesting, and that the revenue that we're making off of this, if you imagine the fact that there's the potential for a big change in their profitability margin. So let's see here. So in California, which is a fairly popular, marijuana is pretty destigmatized there, right? Everybody smokes. There's a million weed shops. They look like the Apple Store. California's tax revenue for marijuana in general was $1.3 billion in 2020. Meanwhile, the overall state budget for California is $3.36 trillion. Now, $1 billion doesn't go unnoticed by anybody. That's for damn sure. But the percentage that this is of the overall budget, I actually don't know that it's enough to, justify potentially supporting an industry that's going to go through a lot of volatility. I'm not sure, though. This is just a fucking comment, and I'm actually fairly bullish to the marijuana thing, but I definitely have some concerns about the profitability margins of the industry moving forward in the next, let's just say, year. I just want to give it a year to sit and see what's going on. That's what I would do. That's kind of what I'm doing. I'm that interested. I really want to hear what you guys have to say, and my timeline probably for picking up some shares is going to be in at least 6 to 8 months. I want to see a couple earnings.
Very interesting, Elaine. To say that there's a lot of people who are sitting on the fence as it relates to starting a brand new position. So I think that taking some time to actually do the due diligence and watch the movements of the stocks for a couple of quarters and getting some earnings reports under your wings, I think that's a smart way at it. I think that the industry needs a pure catalyst, because the bulk of the companies that run the marijuana industry are Canadian companies, and I'm still yet to see how, because it's like everyone's holding their breath for once America legalizes, boom, the industry is going to catch fire, pun intended, and you're going to make a gazillion dollars. But I'm just not solely convinced that the United States going completely legal is going to be the catalyst that propels all these stocks to a number that's sustainable, to all new highs or anything like that. Because keep in mind, Canada fully legalized back in 2018. And this whole industry has been crashing since. Now, granted, you've had COVID in there, but pre-COVID, the marijuana industry, those stocks were coming down, despite Canada being fully legal. So I'm just trying to figure, because I think a lot of folks who are into marijuana and buy just regular flower, they have their guy or their gal. They have whoever they have that they go to, and they've been going to before things were legal or not. And I think that the black market is still getting a lot of the revenue share that these publicly traded companies just can't tap into. But I could be wrong. But I think that it's a lot of competition in that space. Anybody and their grandmother can grow weed. You know,
I actually have an answer for you, Ken.
Huh?
I got an interesting answer for you. So my third job, I actually worked the front desk at a dispensary. Public 18. I have some insight. Are you ready for this? This shit might fuck your head up, but ask a professional from the right industry.
Elaine, Elaine, sorry to interrupt. We will eventually have some kids on the show, so.
Sorry.
And we're live streamed, by the way, to YouTube. Just let you know.
I got a swear jar, man. So
no, it's all right.
Do you want? No. Seriously, the next time I cuss on accident, I will send like $20 to somebody or so. Or you, man. Yeah, I don't know. You can do a raffle or something like that. Like, my bad.
It's all good. Go ahead.
So serious too. Like, just let me know. I'm sorry. Okay, here it is. Insurance agencies and banks. So banks are still really, really, really hesitant to give business accounts to marijuana companies in general. So a lot of the money, the reason why it's still going through quote black market is because they don't have a place to store their cash. They don't have a way to work with HR and payroll companies because they don't have a bank account. That's a really big part of it. And then the insurance side as well. Insurance companies don't want to insure marijuana companies while there's this increased risk of them incurring negative things. So, like, you'd be surprised, but this is across the board. And talk to some insurance people, they'll tell you the same thing. They don't even have the legislation for it. And same thing for banks. We're highly discouraged from giving loans, from taking money from medical marijuana companies. I'm saying medical because that's the generation I grew up in, but sorry, I think that's... So, you know what's going on? The Bank of Canada is actually trying to get a lot of these accounts, and it's working. So the Canadian population is actually tiny. They just don't have enough people. A lot of the Canadian money that you're seeing is actually coming from the U.S. So, fun fact.
All right. Again, Elaine, thank you so much for your contribution. Ken as well. We're just going to do just a quick reset for all those folks who are just joining the show. Again, I am your host, Charles Becco. I'm joined on the stage by Ken Harrel from the Bullish Institute and Elaine from Stockhouse U. And together, we are talking and are trying to answer the question, are marijuana stocks the plays for 20 and 22? All right, so let's get right into it, okay? And so, as my fellow co-mods up here were speaking, I was going through pretty much all of the marijuana plays, and I'm looking at ACB here, Aurora Cannabis, and it's kind of funny because I've always felt, and maybe I didn't have a reason to feel like this, but I was just always inclined. Always felt like out of all of the weed stocks, right, that Aurora, kind of was kind of like more like a bellwether, more like a staple. I felt like there was just, as TLRY was just like a high flyer, like Aurora was more of a stable company. And I'm looking at Aurora Cannabis now, and even today it's down by 9%. It just hit a multi-year, multi-week, multi-day low. I don't know if it's ever been this low. Hold on 1 second. Let me just pull it back. Yeah, this is an all-time low for Aurora here. Okay, we have a false print that was back here at 0, but I don't think it's not real. So yeah, this is at an all-time low for Aurora Cannabis, and so my entire assertion, right, and bullish mindset with the marijuana space is actually it's very simple. You know, I'm actually gonna follow. Well, let me put it like this. I'm actually going to explain why I'm so bullish cannabis, to explain how my group, Brooklyn Traders, were able to buy Dogecoin at 0.003 cents before the great Bitcoin and Dogecoin run within the last 2 years. So I remember like it was yesterday, right? It was around June. It was around June, July. I was looking at the Bitcoin chart. It was still under 10,000. It was kind of a thing, right, where Bitcoin's price was depressed so much. Actually, let me pull up the chart here so you guys can see it live. What am I doing? I almost forgot that we're streaming. I can actually show you guys exactly what I was thinking when I was thinking it. Okay, and you see all these levels here, right? So I'm not faking, right? Because I have all these levels marked out, right? Okay, so it was right around here. Was this 2020 or 2022? Let me see. All right, it's 2020, okay? Not 2022. I meant 2021, excuse me. It's late. It's 8 o'clock, y'all. Y'all got to forgive me. All right. So we were right around here, right? And so I noticed that after we kind of made this low here of in March of that year, that we were kind of steer stepping. We had a nice little cup and handle that kind of became fulfilled here in July to August, and I felt like if we could break this red line, right, which was 10,500, and if we could keep and continue to break these levels, 10,500, 11,500, if we get to 14, if we get to over 15,000, that we could have another Bitcoin run right upwards to 20,000. And so my thinking at this time, right, was okay. If we could actually get to 20,000 Bitcoin, this is what I think is going to happen, right? First, Bitcoin and Ethereum is going to run, right? And then all of the altcoins are going to run, right? And at the time, with Robinhood, I was like, which coin is the cheapest altcoin? Because, there's going to be those folks who are going to look at Bitcoin and say, I really can't afford Bitcoin. Or they're going to say, I really can't afford Ethereum. And on Robinhood, thank God, thank bless their soul, they had Bitcoin available to buy. Well, not really buy, because, hold in custody, but that's a whole different story. And, the idea came, I said, hey, you know what? For all those folks who can't afford Bitcoin or Ethereum, what they're going to do is they're going to FOMO right into Dogecoin, right? So, in my group, as people were asking me for recommendations to buy, they're like, oh man, I want to invest in crypto. I don't know what to get. I said, hey man, take whatever money you got for crypto. I say if you really want to be aggressive, put 50% in Dogecoin, put 25% in Ethereum, put another 25% in Bitcoin. And I said, hey, if you're more conservative, flip it around. Do 50% Bitcoin, 25% Ethereum, 25% Dogecoin. Let it rip. And then, so, we all know what happened, right? Like, everything went crazy, right? The price of Bitcoin went from a low of 4,200 that year to a high of 65,000 the next year, right? And so when I'm thinking about, and at that time, right, if you look at the chart of Bitcoin, right, what was happening? Nothing. Right? For a very long time. Nothing at all. Okay? Now, if you look at these marijuana stocks, right? Same thing. Now, I understand they're not the same. I get it. I understand. They're not the same. Okay? You could make an argument for use case, right? Because, a lot of people smoke weed and there's a medicinal purpose, right? Okay. But, in terms of the charts, fundamentals, okay, it's not the same. I would say there's actually probably maybe better fundamentals for the marijuana companies. But again, I don't want to go too deep into the rabbit hole with that. Okay, but basically, if you kind of follow my thinking, right, you don't really want to be jumping into an industry, okay, when the thing is at an all-time high. It's, they're talking about it on CNBC, Fox News. When the dude in the bodega man is telling you about Bitcoin advice or crypto advice, or what was another hot sector? When your taxi man is telling you about buying Moderna stock, right? Like, that's probably not the best time to invest. Okay.
Remember back when they had all the marijuana show, the Marijuana Inc. And
I'm telling you,
they had like 3 or 4 cable TV shows on back then, just talking about this stuff, pumping it up.
Right. Again, team. As a matter of fact, let me actually give a big shout out to someone who's not on the stage. I don't know if you want to tap her into here. I don't see her on my little thing here. And I'm so not used to Clubhouse. If you could tap in Amber Lachey here. Amber has a talk here in New York in November, where a lot of us Clubhouse folks are going to go up there on a panel, and we're going to be, kicking some financial literacy for the community here in New York, right? And so I will be there. We'll be in the building, and I will be covering the market phases there, right? So right now, again, we're in phase 1. That's an accumulation phase, right? What does that look like? It's when the chart is just going sideways, nothing is happening. It's quiet, right? And so, in my opinion, these are the times when you're looking to buy. And what's so incredible about marijuana, right? And again, it's very simple. It's breathtakingly simple. Okay? There is a green wave. Again, state after state, legislature after legislature, okay, are passing pro-marijuana laws, right? It's just like the smaller increments on a chart, right? Right now we're looking at the daily increment, right? Let's look at the 5-minute. A lot of times when you see a change in the chart, when you see a reversal, right, it happens on the smaller time frames. 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute, hourly, right? Same thing here, okay? It's going to be some legislature out in somewhere, right, that's going to pass it in probably a more conservative place in the United States that may set off a catalyst to say, hey, you know what, guys, why are we fighting this thing? Why are we, why are we not collecting revenue for stuff that people are going to do anyway? They're going to smoke anyway, okay? They're going to do whatever it is that they want to do, right? And so I do anticipate that, again, with time, right, I do believe that weed on a federal level will be decriminalized. And guys, look at what happened to this chart in TLRY, okay, when that news happened, okay, at least with the news that Joe Biden, okay, was going to pardon on a federal level, right? Price went from $2.90 to $4.50, 35-40% pop in a matter of hours, right? And of course, the prices soon come down because, again, this is just algorithmic buying, right? So this is the way that this chart looks here. To me, this is in anticipation of, again, a federal decriminalization. Again, that's probably going to happen before, some kind of federal legalization, right? And so the thoughts are just very that simple, okay? For the same reason why I was doing my chicken dance over Dogecoin, just knowing that one day that Bitcoin will get over 10,000 is the same reason why, again, I'm doing my chicken dance right now for everybody in the room, for anybody in the building, to say, hey guys, you know what? Hey, if you got $200, $500, $1,000 to throw somewhere, hey, why not buy some shares of this? Not financial advice, okay? And I say this, I'm talking about in general, right? Okay, Candace talked to you about several of the weed ETFs. You guys know my personal favorite, TLRY. Elaine Do you have a personal favorite weed stock that you like? Or ETF, or ETF, sorry.
I like POTX, but not right now. And Grow Generation, the ticker is GRWG. They sell fertilizer, specifically for the marijuana industry. So I think that may be the opportunity that, regardless of the level of legality, the need for this will only continue to grow. And the price right now will only continue to go up. And I think that will, in the long run, in the middle run, equal increased profit margins for this company.
All right, there you have it, folks. There you have it. And so,
I want to throw one name out there.
Oh, go ahead, Ken. Sorry.
I know I threw out ETFs, like 7 ETFs earlier, but there is a play that's relative or related to THC. Is not a pure THC play, but it's a company that a lot of folks have speculated with because they believe that it has a footing in marijuana, and that's the ticker symbol SMG for the Scotts Miracle-Gro company. Scotts Miracle-Gro is independent of marijuana. They sell lawn fertilizer, grass seed products, spreaders, all kind of stuff for just horticulture in general. Any kind of plants, plant food, potting mixes, garden soils. They sell all that kind of stuff. Organic garden products, anything that can help plants, flowers, vegetables. They even sell like lighting systems and hydroponic stuff as well. So they're all in that space. Some of his top products are in the name of Scotts, Turf Builder, Easy Seed, Patch Master, Thicker Lawn, Grub X, Edge Guard, Handy Green, Miracle Grow, Liquid Feed, Osmocot, Shake and Feed, Earth Grow, Super Soil. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. They have dozens upon dozens of products, and they're distributed all over, from the garden centers to the big box merchandisers, warehouse clubs, large hardware chains, independent hardware stores, nurseries, and online. And on top of this, something I like from a longevity standpoint, the Scotts Miracle-Gro Company was founded in 1868 and is headquartered in Marysville, Ohio. So they've been getting money for 150 years, right? Over 150 years. They know what they're doing. You don't get money for 150 years and be a publicly traded company and you don't have a sustainable business model. So it's a play where it's like vertical integration. You're right. They sell some of the top lawn and gardening products. Well, some marijuana growers are loyal to that brand. But the cool thing about SMG to me is you don't have to grow marijuana in order to be a customer of this company. Anybody with a green thumb, pun intended, can be a Scotts Miracle-Gro customer. When I look at some of the numeric statistics, I look at their 52-week range. When you talk about opportunity, their 52-week high is 180. 52-week high is 180. 52-week low, $40.21.
Hey Ken, I see 250 actually. Don't mean to interrupt. 250 I see.
Okay. I see 254, but that was over a year ago.
Oh, I see. My bad. Go ahead.
But it's okay. It's all gravy. Main thing is, yes, that's the all-time high is 250. But in the last 12 months, the highest has been is 180 and 43 cents. Is the highest has been in the last 12 months, and that was in back in like November. But the main thing is year to date, Scotts Miracle-Gro is down 74%. Year to date, 74% down. So a 52-week low of $40.21. Today is trading at $40.88. 67 cents above the floor. But 140 points below the ceiling. It's something worth considering for your watch list if you're looking at something like that. Some other numbers that jumped out to me worth highlighting for SMG. They have a PE ratio, which is good. That means they're profitable, of just under 6, which is pretty low. I like to trade PEs between 10 and 30. A 5, it could be a very valuable company, or it could be about to go out of business. I don't think that the company's been around since 1868 is about to go out of business. They've been around for multiple world wars, pandemics, outbreaks, SARS, smallpox, mad cow disease, bird flu, swine flu. Like they've been around through all that. They boast a market cap of $2.25 billion. They have a slightly conservative beta of 1.43. They pay $2.64 per share, which represents a 5.84% dividend yield. That's very juicy. I'm just taking this information from Yahoo Finance, and even Yahoo Finance has a 1-year target estimate of $79.50 on this company, so nearly double the price it is today. When we look under the hood at the key statistics, I can see that they have a gross profit margin of a negative 6.25%, but a positive operating margin of 11% to the good. They have a 6% return on assets for the 12 months, and unfortunately, they have a negative 34.5% return on equity. Revenue for the last 12 months is just over $4 billion, which represents quarterly revenue growth year over year, a decline of 26%. EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, just shy of $560 million. And their earnings have not been growing. Total cash reported on hand for the most recent quarter, just under $36 million of cash sitting in their war chest, but considerable amount of debt. They have $3.77 billion worth of debt. So a lot of that can be tied up into equipment. It could be tied up into facilities, a number of different things that they have, fixed assets. We have to take a look at that, because really with that spread of debt to cash, they really need things to get back cranking up from a top line sales standpoint, so they can drive more to the bottom line and service that debt. So the debt does concern me. But again, if a company has been around since 1868, they probably figured out how to pay their bills.
Man, again, thanks for breaking that down. Yeah, we were taking a look at this chart here. Yeah, and you're right. 52 high price was right up there, close to 180 there. But almost the all-time high price is at 254, and since then, it's just had a precipitous fall. I mean, it definitely is way overdue for a bounce. I mean, the chart just looks totally broken. I mean, I'm looking at the weekly. This thing just looks wild on the weekly, man, I wonder what happens to this thing. But it does look like a terrific value if they do not get bankrupt. If they not go bankrupt, right? And so, SMG, Scott's Miracle Group.
Low PEs, you got to be a little cautious with the lower PEs for sure.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Let me see here. Just looking on the daily. Man, it's just been like a... This reminds me, okay, just to let you guys know, I remember taking a class from Timothy Sykes years and years ago, right? And I remember in one of his classes, he's doing a class on technical analysis, and he talked about a chart style, right? And when you see a chart that looks like this, he calls it the crow, right? And he calls it the crow because, from the way that this looks like timed, orderly selling, right? Like a massive shareholder is just unwinding his entire position. Like every single time there's a pop, there's an immediate drop, and it's pretty orderly, right? I mean, this stock has not been able really to keep above, even if it's daily 50 for more than like a day or two. And it's been slow, but yeah, again, assuming that this company does not go bankrupt, right? Again, if I stretch this back, max all time, assuming Yeah, we should be able to get to like a mean price of around $70 here. So I do have a little algorithm here that's saying that, hey, you know what, some of the selling may be over, and so yeah, this may be a nice place to add. Again, not financial advice. Don't get clapped. Ken, go ahead.
Looks like something definitely happened though in March of 21. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you look at the all-time graph, it's right there, super super prevalent right there in front of our face. Super evident. March 1st of 2021, the stock was at $231, and it just started a sharp decline thereafter. I mean, it dropped basically 100 points between March of 01 and September of 01, and then continued to slide all the way to where we are today, down to $40, and $40.21 is the 5-year low. The low that we have right now on Scott's Miracle-Gro is lower than the pandemic low. The pandemic low, March 16th of 2020, the pandemic low for this company was $83.53. The pandemic low, when things bottomed out.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, what really happened to this company, or what's really going on? There's definitely something going on under the hood that I don't think we really have the answer to, because it actually doesn't even make sense how steep this decline was, especially from the highs, right? You know, man, you know, companies typically don't make a high. You typically make a higher low once you put in a big high like this. You know, if you look on the all-time chart from the weekly standpoint, it actually looks like a pump and dump, right? Things that look like this, I always warn people, hey, this looks like a pump. But you know, it's Scott's Miracle-Gro. It's not a pump and dump. Go ahead, Ken.
It's Elaine. They
Elaine.
Some forward guidance on their prospects for the rest of 2021 and cited demand problems. I believe it's India. Probably some Indian company, and we were scared about the Indian demand coming through 2021. Not only that, like you said, it looks like somebody very large is unwinding a position. And I'm going to mute you, Ken, because there's an echo, but feel free to there was a concern about demand moving forward for 2021. Continuing on that, like I think that is the free cash flow like negative right now. So I remember looking at the earnings, and it's like the estimate for cash flow was negative 150 million, and it came in almost twice as much. I think it's like 350 million or something like that right now. So what we saw was just decreased profitability, and one of the biggest tie-ins for that was going to be natural gas, which, by the way, is my super not related but related pick for people looking for the trade, like where we are in a market that is showing just every level of weakness and lack of bull runs and stuff like that. Like, if we do see some sort of positive bump due to like people excited that we're going to see a larger amount of marijuana companies, and just growth and openness in that industry, the one thing, like the two things that are important for fertilizer are ammonia and what else is it? It's ammonia and nitrogen. And liquid natural gas is the source that they use for that. So fertilizers are heavily dependent on fossil fuels.
Wow. Elena, that's insightful. I'm going to write that down. That's a great insight.
Look me up. Hold me to it. Like, that is that. I know that to be, deeply true. And so the cycle that we're in right now for natural gas is like, as we see oil prices run, natural gas prices will stagnate, and there's a seasonality to it. But once oil hits a certain level, we see that natural gas price spike very consistently. There's like a strong correlation. And if it's not natural gas, it's going to be coal. but anyways, the cycle for LNG right now is fairly tight, especially because of the production levels. So natural gas gets made when they pull oil out of the ground. Refined oil, natural gas gets made, Jesus Christ, and it's actually known as a runoff. It's something that a lot of American companies used to just throw away entirely because they just didn't understand the use case. However, as time goes on, it becomes more important, but it is not something that we're making directly. So it is tied to the amount of oil that is being output and refineries that are active, and we're seeing kind of like a downtrend. A potential short-term, well, it's a balance, but we've seen a potential stagnation of just output specifically from OPEC and world refineries. So there's a correlation between that and natural gas. And last fun fact, the U.S. is actually the number one supplier of natural gas for the world. So there's a strong play here.
Man, Elaine, I mean, that was just, Ken, that was incredible, man. Elaine, that was genius analysis just now. Hey guys, y'all about to just give a round of applause here to Elaine. We're sitting here looking at the charts like, what's going on with this? This is going crazy. You just nailed it. Elaine, I think you solved that. I think that's the answer. You know, as somebody who actually, well, I don't have a bio degree, but I did really good in biology. That makes a whole lot of sense. That's awesome, Elaine. Thank you so very much. Thank you, man. It is terrible that we have to end the show here, but man, what a note to end it on with that sparkling analysis by Elaine. That just clap it up. That was great. I'm gonna write that down, and I'm so I can be looking at SMG as a proxy for the natural gas play, huh? Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Dang, we started off with weed stocks, then hopped over to crypto, now on to gas. Made a nice little circuit there. To my fellow co-mods, any last words before we wrap it up here? Also, I want to tell everybody, please follow the room, follow your mods. I believe everyone's social media is in their profile, so tap that, follow them. Ken, on to you. Any last words, Ken?
Yeah, I think that marijuana has been around for tens of thousands of years, and I know that not only does marijuana have its own uses and benefits, you also have that through the hemp plant as well, and hemp has 1,000 different uses as well. There's a total cash crop. So I would just say study the industry as a whole and find your lane in it, because it's so much more than just growing flower, right? You can invest in the cultivation, as you can see with Scott's Miracle-Gro. You don't have to touch the marijuana at all to make a profit. You can just invest in the soil, right? You can invest in the company that makes the lights or make the ballast or makes the fans and or the grow rooms. There's all kind of companies that make different products and also provide different services that help support the marijuana industry. Some folks are investing in the like farmland, right? The raw land. Some people are investing in facilities. Those facilities need to be protected. So some people are investing in security systems that benefit the marijuana community. They got the whole food aspect. So some of these brands out here, some of these tickers are invested in the food, like taking the flower and turning it into food, and cannabinoids, oils, topicals. They even making cannabis-infused puppy treats now. It's just so many uses. You got STZ, Constellation Brands, that made an investment into cannabis-infused beverages. So figure out what part of the game you want to be in and what makes the most sense for you, and do your due diligence and research there. And always start at the foundation. That's what fundamental analysis. Right now, the charts are so ugly, I can't see a clear entry point into any of these names, but you can look at them fundamentally and go after the ones that have the best key financial ratios: profit margins, return on assets, return on equity, revenue growth on the top line, earnings growth on the bottom line, and their cash to debt position. These things are all ultra critical, especially during uncertain times. At the end of the day, we're talking about publicly traded companies that are in the marijuana space. And we're speculating that some announcement from the United States government of going fully legal is going to be that spark. I think we got to wait a while for that. I think it's a long-term play, so I wouldn't expect anything quick to pop. These stocks and this industry has been a dog for a long time, especially for U.S. stocks, right? And even again, I just want to reiterate the point, even when Canada went legal, their stocks are still in the toilet. So I'm just really curious of what's going to be the ultimate catalyst to push this industry over the top and get people to want to actually go to publicly traded companies to purchase their flower or edibles, right, versus going to the corner store or the guy they know on the black market. So I say it's long, go strong, but go long.
And just to piggyback off Ken, again, if you just, again, my baby's TLRY. Again, full disclosure, I'm holding TLRY. You know, a lot of it. Guys, $300 to net you 100 shares, right? So when TLRY gets its act together and the stock price starts going to where it probably should be, you know, you will be able to sell some options. I mean, you still can now, but you can sell the options against your 100 shares, right? And so, long term, you know, look to acquire at least 100 shares and make your real goal 1,000 shares with any company that you will buy. And man, look at ACB here. I did not know ACB was this low. I'm gonna add some tomorrow. $1 ACB. Yeah, what's SNDL at? So I'm not even looking at SNDL anymore. Oh, they did a reverse split too. Hey, SNDL post reverse split is higher than ACB. That's insane. All right, I'm gonna get me some ACB. Forget what anybody talking about. Elaine, final words here.
Well, for all of this stuff, I agree with you guys. I think there's so much opportunity for people that do their due diligence. Like, do it and come up with, prove us wrong. Prove why everything is wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, having that confidence is so important. And so the information that we all talked about is very public. And if you're interested in this industry, like, give it a look up and get nerdy on it and figure out what you actually think they're going to make and how that correlates to potential price. With that said, I'm always somebody who looks for the highest percentage chance move. And if you think about it, like, if you could just get 100% gain on an option, right? And that's pretty common if you catch these large moves for companies like the ones we're talking about. You can get 100% option move. If you could do that, I think it's like 23 times in a row, like from $1, you'd be a millionaire. It's that easy. 23 times is all you need to do. But very few people can do that. Because we look for these things that give us this outsized return that make it worth it. And that's dope. And if you're the type of person that catches that congratulations, like, a lot of people I know have done it. However, if you're worried about holding on to it, like this due diligence that you're doing and sitting in rooms with people gives you the opportunity to look for the thing where it's like, hey, if somebody threatened your life, and you had to pick one play that you knew for a certain, you were really willing to bet it all, that you're that confident, that you're going to see that move, what would you say? And it definitely wouldn't be sundial for me, right? So, we could pick on.
Yeah, definitely not.
Right? And we're still bullish on marijuana and the potential of it, but it's like, you're not going to pick that one. There's a couple plays out there that you're not going to pick because you see that they're just burning through cash on a daily basis, and it is what it is. So, like, I think that's like a fun way to look at it, and it values the money that we put in here. Like, this game can make you quit your job. You can do whatever you want to do. If you become not even a master, just good at it. But that requires consistency and, just loving the game. So I always appreciate getting to talk with you guys, and I don't actually like preaching, but I like the industry, so thanks for having me. All
right. So, team, again, I want to thank my my wonderful hosts here. Again, Ken Blanks, Harrel, and Elaine from Stockhouse U. And team, again, follow us on all platforms. Again, everything at Brooklyn Traders. Definitely follow the Pre-Market Movers Morning Show and the Pre-Market Movers Room. That's it, everybody. Check us out on the YouTube at Brooklyn Traders for the replay of the show. Also on Facebook. So, team, thanks, and God bless. All right, y'all. D. Kathy Gray. What's up, Kathy? That's right, y'all. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Again, follow us at Brooklyn Traders, BrooklynTraders.net. Check us out. All right, y'all. We up out of here. Take care, everybody. Man, the show's still going on. Boom. The music is still not going on.